AI phone calls have recently exploded in popularity, enabling realistic AI phone calls that we can use to fully automate making or answering phone calls. With this rapid growth of the industry, there are now so many platforms that enable us to build these applications, but choosing the right platform can be pretty overwhelming. So in this video, I'll compare the top AI phone call platforms so you can choose which one is best for you. My name is Brendan and I'm from Australia, and I run Inflate, an AI automation agency where I help businesses integrate AI into their operations. These AI voice agents have two main use cases. One is inbound calling and one is outbound calling. So we can configure a number that when it receives a call, the AI will start to speak with them and converse with them and go through the flow that we've set up. With outbound callers, this is where we get a lead list and we actually send the calls with the AI to those lead lists to do a variety of things. Some examples of these inbound systems could be a dentist where you want to book an appointment and it simply just asks them for their name, and then it is able to understand when they want to book and it can run an automation to book it in. Another example could be restaurants or takeaway food where you call up to order some pizza and then it goes ahead and takes that order and then sends it into their system. An example of an outbound caller could be something like a salesperson that we configure and prompt the bot to become this really good salesperson that goes ahead and calls a lead list and then is trained to ask the right questions and then really just to book calls from those calls. Another example for the outbound system could be actually going through a lead list of existing previous clients, calling them up with an outbound system, and then asking them if they need any additional services. So there's a lot of opportunity in this space, and it's definitely something that you should be looking into. Many different platforms enable us to build these voice agents. So in this video, I'm going to be going through the top 3 most popular platforms that I've been seeing going around in the communities. And then I'm going to take these 3 platforms and compare them to 5 different categories. So number 1 is going to be realism. So that's how good it actually sounds. Does it actually sound like a human? And can it convince someone that it is not a bot? Number 2 will be pricing, so how much it actually costs at scale so that we can see whether or not it's actually affordable to actually use this in a business. Number 3 will be speed, so seeing how quick it actually responds to our questions. Number 4 will be integrations and ease of use, so the integrations are how easily we can connect it to something like Zapier or Make.com or just a variety of automations platforms so that we can run a whole heap of different requests from our voice agents. And then lastly, number 5, I'm going to go through the country compatibility of these systems. So we're going to be seeing which ones are available within the US and outside of the US as well. Many different platforms enable us to build these voice agents. So in this video, I've gone ahead and got 3 of the most popular ones that I've seen, and I'm going to be comparing these together. The first platform is going to be Vappy.ai. The second platform is going to be Synthflow, and the third platform is going to be Bland AI. So I'm going to get started on which one of these platforms sounds the best. So if you're familiar with some of the AI voice stuff that's been going around for a while now, you'll probably know that ElevenLabs is one of the best sounding sort of realistic AI voice platforms currently on the market. So ElevenLabs has integrations for both Vappy and Synthflow, where we can actually take our ElevenLabs API keys and use them on these platforms. And then Bland actually uses ElevenLabs in the background. So it doesn't explicitly state that they're using ElevenLabs, but they are using ElevenLabs in the backend. Now, since Bland is using ElevenLabs in the backend, this means we can't actually upload the ElevenLabs custom voices. And one of the big benefits of using ElevenLabs custom voices is that they have sort of a marketplace where people can upload different types of voices that they've created themselves for other people to use. Now, the big problem here without being able to upload custom voices is that for someone like me, I'm from Australia, so the Australian accents and using that to sell to Australian businesses is a pretty important factor. And the fact that we can't take some of these realistic sounding Australian accents and get that onto Bland is a pretty big shame. So I'm going to start off by testing Synthflow with a custom ElevenLabs voice. So the voice that I'm going to be using is Jacob Dayi from ElevenLabs. So you can go ahead and copy that one if you want to use it as well. Gone ahead and connected this to Synthflow. So you can see here, you can pretty much just put in your API key and get access to all of the custom voices from ElevenLabs. I'm going to go ahead and call it. Hey, could I just get some garlic bread?
Sure thing. What size would you like for your garlic bread? Small, medium, or large?
Just small if that's all right.
Got it. Will this be for delivery or pickup?
So that sounds pretty good for what it needs to do. The connection with ElevenLabs definitely helps out a lot to get that realistic sounding voice. I'll now test Vappy.ai, which is probably going to sound pretty similar as it's using the same ElevenLabs connection.
John's Pizza, what can I get you today?
Hey, could I just get margarita pizza?
What size would you like for your margarita pizza?
Just a small thanks.
Will this be for delivery or pickup? And could I also have your name, please?
So once again, they sound pretty much the same. They're both using that ElevenLabs assistant. And that really helps it to give that really realistic sounding voice. However, one thing I did notice is that Vappy actually has the option to go ahead and turn on a background sound. So this would enable us to actually have something like an office sound in the background. So if I clicked on the office and then went ahead and published this,
Hey, welcome to John's Pizza. What can I get you today?
Hey, could I get a cheese pizza?
Sure, what size would you like for your cheese pizza?
So hopefully you were able to hear that background sound there, but that really helps to make it sound a whole lot more realistic. Now, obviously when you're calling a pizza place, it's not going to sound or have a background noise of an office, but I did contact Vappy and they said that they are working on a feature where you can actually upload custom background noises. So you can actually record, the sound of a restaurant, go ahead and upload that file and have a really realistic sounding voice agent. Now I'm going to try Bland AI. So this is Bland here, and I've just gone ahead and selected the Sophie Australian voice. But like I said earlier, you only get the voices that they give you. So they've got public voices as well as these Bland curated voices, but you don't get to upload your own 11 Labs keys to get access to those custom voices. So this is one of the restrictions of Bland.
Hello, thanks for calling John's Pizza. How can I help you with your order today?
Hey, yeah, could I just get some garlic bread?
Okay, got it. For your order, you'd like an order of garlic bread. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it.
Great, I've got your order for one order of garlic bread. That will be $4.99. Can I get your name and address to place the order?
So there you have it. Definitely not a terrible sounding voice assistant, but one of the big issues, like I highlighted, I selected an Australian voice and that didn't really sound Australian. That sounded more of a British accent. And so that's going to be one of the restrictions of using Bland. If maybe you're in a country where your accent is a little bit different, so you're not going to be able to get access to those custom assistants, where something like Vappy and Synthflow gives us access to a whole range of different accents. But obviously, if you are in the US, you can pretty much go with anything in terms of the accents. So now in terms of which one was the best, I would say that Vappy having that background sound really helps out a lot. I did contact Synthflow and they did say that they were working on getting a background noise as well. So I think that's really a key thing when calling up these assistants, to really just add to the whole experience to make it sound realistic. And then on top of the fact that obviously we're able to use our custom 11 Labs keys to get, hyper realistic accents and sounds coming through, that's a really big benefit. So the first point for realism is going to go to Vappy.ai. So now onto the pricing of these systems. So pricing is a pretty important factor. If we're building this for a business that gets an incredible amount of volume, if we've got a really expensive system, these charges can rack up really quickly and become quite an expensive thing over time. So you should really understand which system should be used for which use case. Maybe the lower volume systems could be using more realistic voices, whereas the higher volume needs to really tone down on the realism to save on prices. So I'm going to start with Bland. So Bland costs 12 cents per minute. So this is 12 USD per minute. And so this is a flat rate. So it's 12 cents a minute to the exact second. And that's just their flat rate. It doesn't go up or down. I believe it is 12 cents a minute, and that's just Bland's flat rate cost. So now onto Vappy. So Vappy's pricing can vary quite a lot because Vappy actually enables us to change the AI model, the transcriber. So it transcribes voice into text to be sent into the models. It's got the ability to change obviously our voice providers. And so because we can change all of these different variables, the cost will change depending on that. So at the moment, I've got it set up to use GPT 3.5. So the OpenAI's GPT model. We're also using 11 Labs Turbo V2. And so these systems put together comes up to 22 cents per minute. But then obviously if I go ahead and change the provider to something like Grok, so it's not using OpenAI, it will go down a little bit. So now we're down to 21 cents. But the biggest cost here, as you can see in this bit of bar here, if we hover over this, 11 Labs is 15 cents per minute that's being charged. So obviously that's a pretty heavy cost. If we go over to the voice function, we can turn it off and go to Play HT. We can see here, it's now down to 16 cents. I can go down to OpenAI and we can actually get it down to 8 cents. So I do like that we can change all of these models and voices to really configure this to be more efficient for different use cases. When we're doing something like inbound calls where people are calling up to get information out of the phone number, obviously a more realistic sounding voice isn't really required because they're calling you for information. But if we're doing something like an outbound call where you're being called, you probably want the most realistic sounding thing that's pleasable to hear to actually stay on the phone, because nobody likes cold calling. Now moving on to Synthflow. So Synthflow charges 58 cents per minute as their minimum plan. So that's at the starter plan, 58 cents per minute. So very expensive to come in and start using Synthflow. Now with Synthflow, you also have to pay $30 a month. This does give you 50 minutes for that $30. But then it's 58 cents per minute. So 58 cents per minute, very expensive, probably not going to be the best thing to go out and run a scalable system on the starter plan. They do have their pro plan, which is $450 a month, where then it comes down to 15 cents a minute. So unless you have the sort of capital and the volume already there to be requiring the $450 a month plan to get that cost down to 15 cents a minute, and then onto the sort of 8 to 13 cents a minute plans with their growth and agency plans. Unless you've already got the volume to do that, Synthflow is going to be a pretty expensive platform to go ahead and start using. So for pricing, I'd definitely say that Bland AI has the advantage here. Coming in at 12 cents a minute is definitely a very competitive price. They've also got obviously access to that 11 Labs in the background. So you are getting access to 11 Labs, but once again, you're obviously not using those custom voices all through Bland AI. But with Vappy, obviously being able to get your prices down to as low as 8 cents, cheaper than any of the other platforms, that is pretty valuable to have that sort of flexibility if you're working with a multitude of clients or you have a multitude of use cases. Being able to bring that price down to 8 cents a minute and then deploy that for different use cases will be a lot more efficient in the long run when building out all these different systems. So I'm going to go ahead and actually give a point to both Vappy and Bland AI because of the two different use cases and flexibilities that they both provide. Now moving on to speed, so how fast it can actually respond to the questions we give it. I'm going to go ahead and actually swap all the models for their fastest one. So I haven't been using the fastest one so far. I've been using the more sort of realistic voices. I'm going to go ahead and, so this is Synthflow. I'm going to go ahead and click on the low patience level. So on Synthflow, we get the ability to adjust response speed. So that's a pretty convenient feature. You can go ahead and click low. I'm going to go ahead and put the time on how long it actually takes to get an answer back from these calls for each one. And then you're going to be able to see which one is the fastest. Hopefully I'm going to be able to tell just by talking to it which one's the fastest. But if not, you're going to be able to see just on the screen. So for Vappy, I've gone through all of the providers and found that OpenAI provides the best latency, 950 milliseconds. So we'll see if that's actually accurate. But if we also have a look at their actually latency sort of chart here, we can see that 11 Labs contributes the most to the latency at 500 milliseconds. So once again, we could just remove 11 Labs and then reduce that latency like by 500 milliseconds. So quite a lot there. But that's one of the benefits of Vappy being able to be this flexible in removing 11 Labs and then just using something else. That's then going to speed it up a lot. Obviously, when we remove 11 Labs, the quality is then going to go down and be a bit more of a robotic voice. For Bland AI, I've gone ahead and chose the Turbo model, which should be their fastest model. So let's start off with Bland. Hey, could I just get some garlic bread?
Sure. How many slices of garlic bread would you like to order?
Just 2 slices.
Excellent. Do you want anything else to add to your order? We have a wide selection of other delicious pizza options, toppings, and sides.
No, that's all right.
Hey, welcome to John's Pizza. What can I get you today?
Hey, yeah, could I just get some garlic bread?
Of course. What size would you like for your garlic bread? We have small, medium, or large sizes available.
Yeah, could I get a large as well as a medium?
Certainly. Will this be for delivery or pickup?
It'd be for pickup.
Got it. To confirm, you've ordered 1 large and 1 medium garlic bread for pickup. Hey, welcome to John's Pizza. What can I get you today?
Could I get some pizza?
Of course. What size would you like? We have small, medium, and large.
Just a medium cheese pizza.
Sure. A medium cheese pizza. Would you like any additional toppings on that?
No, that's all good.
All right. A medium cheese pizza it is. Would you like anything else with that? Maybe some drinks or sides?
So there you have the speed test. From just listening from that, I do think that Bland was actually really quite quick in generating those answers. And I think Vappy probably comes in about second or maybe even tied with Bland there. In terms of just listening to it, I'd say there really isn't too big of a difference. I did think that Synthflow was quite a bit slower in generating those responses. Now, number 4, which is integrations and ease of use. So integrations is really connecting these systems to talk with external data, as well as sending out automation requests. So if somebody wants to order a pizza, we can go ahead and then send that pizza to the kitchen and just stuff like that, automations where we're connecting it to the system. So for Bland AI, if we go down to the bottom of our sort of assistant configurator, this isn't obviously going to be a full tutorial, but what they do give us is a request data function. So the request data says when you want your AI to know a specific fact, like the caller's name or other relevant context, the AI agent will be aware of both the key names as well as their corresponding value. So pretty much you just give it a key like name, and then you give it sort of an example, and it will just save. If you want to capture an email, you can type email, and you're just capturing static values. If you want to get back the order of a pizza, so you want to know what they ordered, how many they ordered, you want to know if they've got a drink. These are the types of things that Bland is going to natively be able to capture. So in addition to this, Bland AI actually has their own Zapier integration connection as well. So if we go to Zapier and then look up Bland AI, we can see here that we can connect Bland to obviously all of the 6,000 applications that Zapier has. And then we can obviously run a whole heap of different automations with that. So if we wanted to schedule daily Bland AI phone calls, We can schedule it with Schedule by Zapier. That's just a tool that they offer. We can send phone calls in Bland for new actions that happen in Glide, such as like a application builder. We can send phone calls for updated rows in Google Sheets. So these are sort of the external automations for calling Bland to then go ahead and make sort of outbound calls. So there's obviously a good amount of integrations that can come from sort of a native Zapier integration. Now moving on to Vapi. So Vapi has something called functions. Now functions operate quite similar to how Bland AI's sort of data capture system worked. But one of the key things here is that Vapi can actually pull data from their functions back into the conversation so that we can make a call, pull that data back, and then continue the conversation. So rather than just capturing some data throughout the call and then enabling us to access that once the call is over, we can get a real-time function run during the call to pull back data from a whole heap of endpoints to make a much more advanced system. So I'm just going to quickly demo something that I've been working on. What I've gone ahead and built is an e-commerce sort of assistant chatbot that is connected to a table of products. And what we're going to do is ask for a product. I'm going to ask it to recommend us a type of product. And I've actually connected it to this spreadsheet here, where it's then going to go ahead and look up through this entire spreadsheet. It's then going to pull back products that it finds relevant to the query that I said in the conversation. And it's going to give us the price. It's going to give us the weight. It's going to give us all this data that is stored in this database that we didn't store in the prompt. Benefit of doing this is that we can have this set up to connect with something maybe like Shopify, where this is live updating with it. And then we don't have to change the prompt with all the products. And we're gonna have a much more structured way of accessing this data.
Hey, welcome to EcoWare. What can we help you with today?
Hey, I was just looking to see if you had any red sling bags.
Give me a moment. Yes, we have a red sling bag available. It's called the EcoWare Sling Bag Natural Hemp Red. The price is $233.42 and it weighs 0.58 lbs. It's a small size bag. Would you like me to send you the product link via email for purchase?
So as you can see there, that is an incredibly powerful system where we're able to accurately pull back these rows of data through a function that pulls the data back during the conversation. So in that call, it was able to see that I was talking about the red bag here, the red sling bag, and it gave me the accurate price and other information from that spreadsheet of data. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do a full build of an e-commerce voice assistant chatbot with something like product recommendations like I just showed you, canceling orders and emails and just stuff like that. If you want to see that, let me know and I can build a video for that. And obviously, in addition to running these functions where it pulls back the data live during the conversation, we can have that data just sent off as a one-time trigger, similar to all the other applications as well. Now moving on to Synthflow. So Synthflow actually has quite a few options for sort of running actions, configurations, and just a bunch of different connections. So we go on Synthflow and we'll go to our prompt section. These are several actions that are sort of pre-built for us to run during the conversation. So one of their pre-built actions is sending an SMS. So a customer might have a call and then we can trigger it to say, send an SMS to this person after the call's finished. So that's an automatic action they've already got. We can have real-time booking so that we can converse with it and then actually book a time. If I click on this, it'll show us that we can use Cal.com or Go High Level to actually book a call during the meeting. So that's a preset action. We've got a call transfer. So that's an action that allows us to transfer the call to a live human. And that'll be just depending on a trigger. If somebody says, I don't want to speak to you anymore, I want to speak to the human, it'll go ahead and trigger that action. And then it's also got the basic information extractor, which is conversing with it, understanding that you want a margarita pizza, and then going ahead and just storing that in some sort of a value. Then next to this prompt section, we do have deployment, and deployment gives us a whole another range of integrations that are sort of native into the application. One of them being Go High Level, where you can actually install the Synthflow app into Go High Level like it says. And then there's just a bunch of different automations that we can run sort of natively without doing any setup yourself with Go High Level, as well as Zapier. So they got Zapier. You can put in your API keys. If I just scroll down a bit, you can see that they've got popular with Synthflow AI users. So Synthflow has their own Zapier block, just like Bland as well. And you can configure this natively within the actual website. If you want to send emails in Gmail when the phone calls are completed in Synthflow, we can just click this, turn it on, and have that working. So a whole heap of functions that are pre-built for us. So in terms of the winner of this, I'd say that they really all have different use cases for each other. Vapi is really great for the ability to pull data back during the conversation. I definitely would say that for my use cases, that's the most important thing. The fact that we can pull in live data during the conversation really enables us to build much more advanced bots. But then equally as important, Bland AI and Synthflow both have their native Zapier integrations, which is a really powerful tool to really allow us to build these sort of complex automations really easily. So once again, it really does depend on the use case for which one you're going to choose. Me personally, I will probably be using Vapi in terms of these sort of calling functions where we're able to get data live. Now, lastly, I did just want to mention the country support of these applications. So Vapi and Synflow do support international calling. And so that's a really powerful thing. Obviously, since I'm in Australia, not being able to call numbers that are Australian or call from an Australian number is a pretty bad thing. We obviously want to use that if we're going to be selling this to businesses. Unfortunately, Bland AI is a US only thing at the moment. So if you want to go ahead and obviously call from different numbers and call 2 different numbers using Bland AI, that isn't possible at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if they rolled it out in the future, but just for now, you aren't able to access this if you're not in the US. So definitely something to consider if you are outside of the US, if you want to get access to the international calling. So I hope that was a helpful video in understanding the differences between these top applications and understanding their use cases, some of their strengths, some of their weaknesses, and then figuring out how we can configure these systems with the speed and the pricing and the realism of the sound to be most efficient for our particular use case. If you would like to see more sort of specific and complex builds of these assistants, definitely drop a comment below of the sort of industry that you'd like me to build one for. Maybe I'll go ahead and release a video on that as well. If you're a business owner and you would like a custom system for your business, you can go ahead and book a call with me using my calendar link in the description. If you found the video helpful, definitely go ahead and subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell, as well as like the video.